Well, I am an admirer of Elisa's. Elisa has even worked for me, and the fact is that she is talented.
What's they called Kermit and Friends?
Kermit and Friends.
Kermit. But if Kermit...
You're saying
like
not to do...
Yeah,
wait.
I actually have watched a few hours of Kermit and Friends.
How many hours have you watched, Natalie?
Oh, no. Probably indulged in 8 hours.
Holy...
My wife and I watched Benji's ex-girlfriends or whatever's going on. We watched this crazy podcast, and I have to say, this is one of the, probably in the top 5 things I think about right now.
She has a podcast, but she gets to come on the radio. It is craziness upon craziness.
Look at me. Here I am. Right where I belong. I see that face coming back to me like an old familiar song. What better place could anyone be? 'Cause you're here with me. It's all I've been looking for and so much more. And now I'm here, now you're here. Nothing can go wrong 'cause I am right where I belong. Here we go.
Hi guys. Hey Kermit, could our friends watch the show from backstage?
Could you do that? No. Wait a minute. No, they cannot watch the show from backstage. That's it. That's what's been missing from the show. That's what we need. More frogs and dogs and bears and chickens and whatever. You're not going to watch the show. You're going to be in the show. Come on, everybody.
Look at us. Here we are. Right where we belong. The curtain's up and the lights are bright and they're playing our old song.
What better place could anyone be? 'Cause you're here with me.
So everyone, here we go. Let's start the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kermit and Friends. I'm Elisa. This is Fozzie, and Kermit is watching from heaven. I'm so excited about the show today. There's been a lot of struggle in the past week. As you know, a couple of my channels have been struck down. Struck down. And the old me would have been upset about that. Oh my God, I got a strike. How upsetting. But the new me is like, who cares, right? Who cares? You know, you can't talk about, you know what, that illness that's been going around. You can't talk about certain things on YouTube anymore. And, you know, part of me thinks it's kind of bullshit. You should be able to talk about and have whatever opinion that you have, okay? And that's what Kermit and Friends is about. It's about sharing your opinion and who you are. And do not be afraid to voice your opinion, even if it's on whatever side. I don't care if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, whatever the hell you choose to be, you can voice it here. And I'm not scared of strikes, okay? I'm not that big of a pussy. Everybody welcome my co-host, Weezy.
That is awesome. I love your attitude. That's the perfect attitude, and you're no pussy, that's for sure.
No, I'm not. Like, you know, those emails are so intense, like when you get them, you know, and it's like, you know, strike. And I know everybody's scared of those emails, but right now I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to put out the best show that I can. I'm going to say what's on my mind, right. And everybody's going to agree. I don't think we should all have like one opinion on things.
Right. It's healthy to disagree. I mean, we live in a society now where disagreeing makes it so that you're not supposed to like each other, but disagreeing is very healthy.
Exactly. Like this week, I've been accused of child trafficking and very bad things. I've been accused of being anti-Christian. I've been accused of being like a child trafficker. Have you ever been accused of that, Weezy?
Yes, by the same person that's accusing you, actually.
Precisely the same person? Christine?
No, actually, the original person that was saying those horrible things. But
a different person. Well, this is my person. This is my accuser, Weezy. I just would like to address this. This accuser, Christine, what's going on? What do you think that I did that you're upset about?
I'm not upset, and I never accused you of anything.
Okay, so you asked me several times a question, and what is that question?
The accusation came from another person who I would prefer to remain nameless. I didn't accuse anybody. I just asked if it was true.
Okay, so do you want to ask me that question? Do you want to ask me the question that's on your mind?
I just, you know, whenever I care too much about somebody, that's what gets me in trouble. Because I care about you, and I felt that it wouldn't be wrong to deny it whatsoever. I mean, for your sake. And so I care too much. It gets me in trouble every time. I didn't accuse you of anything. I just thought that for your sake, it would help to just flat out tell the truth. No, I'm not involved in child sex trafficking whatsoever. And I didn't see how denying it would be a problem. I thought it would help you.
Okay, so where do you think I should say this? Do you think I should write it somewhere? Should I post it?
It's up to you. You're your own person. I mean, if you don't want to deny it, that's up to you. I just think that it would help you if you deny it, just for you might think that it's true. You can underestimate the non-intelligence of people.
Okay, so you heard somebody said something about me. What exactly did they say?
You just said it. Why do I have to repeat it?
Well, because I just want to make sure, you know, I want to make sure I know what you're thinking and that you heard something and you were confused and you thought possibly it could be true and you thought it was really important for me to address it. And since I didn't address it, that made you think it's true more?
Nope. You're putting your spin on what you think I was thinking, and it's wrong. The only thing I was thinking is there's nothing wrong with saying no, denying an accusation.
Okay, just fix your audio, Christine. I find this extremely interesting, and it correlates with our guest today. Okay, so that's why I brought you up. There's accusations. There's a lot of talk. When you have a show or you're a comedian or you're on the radio, people say all kinds of things about you, and it can get confusing. And sometimes it's confusing on what to address and what not to address. So pretty much I just say like whatever I want, and then people take it as they want to take it. And I felt when you said that you thought there was a possibility of me child sex trafficking, I just thought it was so far, Okay, you're muted. You're muted. Christine, I cannot hear you. Okay. Anyway, okay, so our first guest today, I think can relate to what I'm going through right now, which is, having my channels have strikes on them. This guy was on a whole nother level, though. He was way on, on a bigger level than me. He was a star, a superstar on the Food Network. Okay, so that's a major, major network. Tons of people watch those shows. Tons of people watched his show. And his name is Josh Denny, okay? And he's the most famous canceled comedian, the most famous one. He hosted Ginormous Food on the Food Network for 3 seasons. So this is like a major, major gig, you guys. This is nothing small. Okay, so this is a big gig. You work your whole life for something like this, and most of the time you don't get it. So the network has since distanced themselves from Denny due to his controversial tweets and comedic style. So this is the question. Do you be who you want to be and who you are, or do you fall into some fake little square of what people want you to be, which is somebody with no opinion and the right opinion, which who the hell are you to say who's right? So, Christine, you're still muted, but I'm just going to say something about you. You're a very big Jesus person, right? So you think that if somebody doesn't like Jesus, they're wrong, right?
Trying to be to not be judgmental. And so I'm not here to tell anybody who's right or wrong. I just try to help you to.
Okay, your audio is too bad to go through this with you right now. Christine, fix your audio. But I will be responding to the allegations a little bit later. But for now, everybody welcome our guest, the most famous canceled comedian, Josh Denny.
Hey.
Welcome to the show, Josh Denny. I'm so thrilled to have you. It was hard to get you on this show.
Was it?
Yes. Yes, I went through 3 different people. I wrote to you. I got no response. You're very busy for a canceled comedian.
Yeah, well, you have to be.
You have to be, right? Okay. So, how do you feel about accusations like that? So I just have a little podcast here. And even so, people come out against me. They say I'm child trafficking. They come out with do you respond to things like that?
Yeah, I haven't had that one yet. I haven't been accused of human trafficking. I don't know what I have to do to get that. That'll be the next one that they come after me for, though. I've been accused of being a white supremacist. I've been accused of being anti-woman. I think that's the final chapter of cancellation. So you skipped right ahead to the end.
Yeah, no, I have the big one right now.
Yeah, they hit you with the child sex trafficking elite pedophile ringleader one. That's like the end, and then you go to prison and they kill you.
Exactly. But your thing with the whole women hating thing, I didn't think that was women hating. So you just said that whores get abortions. Is that what you said?
No. I do believe they do. I do believe whores probably get abortions.
Yeah.
But no, when the Texas abortion ban came out, the entire internet exploded with women freaking out that they can't murder babies anymore. And I was just like, calm down, whores. You still have 6 weeks. When you're a comedian and you do the kind of comedy I do, which is button pushing for sure. I think what's weird about doing it on Twitter is that now Twitter is flooded with people who just refuse to acknowledge context in any way. And so they'll go to a comedian's page and they'll read jokes that we do or things that we're saying to be funny. And they'll try to take them as if they're sort of like documentarian statements, right? And then, or when you do make a statement of opinion, then they'll go back and find all of your jokes that you made that were around that topic. And they go, this is what he really thinks.
Yeah, so you really can't write anything. I mean, people just dissect it too much. I mean, what you said obviously was a joke, but you also feel that way, right? You're anti-abortion.
Yes, yeah, of course. So, it was pretty evident what my point of view was through the stream of both making jokes and making points. But what's amazing is how much people sort of just try to pick and choose. Like, no, I don't think this one's a joke. I think this one's what you really mean. And then this one might be, so it's like there really is. It's a disappointing lack of intelligence that I think people display on Twitter a lot of times. But earlier you said you kind of just have to decide who you want to be. And for me, I don't want those stupid people as fans. They're not customers of what I do.
Well,
they never would be customers.
I hate to break this to you, but the people that are going to be fanatics, I mean, do you think these are rocket scientists?
No, but I think there are people that they don't have to be, by the way, but I think they have to be people that are at least a little open-minded and have some listening ability, right? Like they have to, if they can't actually digest what you're putting out there, it's like no different than this is the way I look at it. Most of the people that don't like what I do are pretty much like vegans who would never go to a steakhouse. I run a steakhouse. So why would I care at all about the opinions of people who would never come inside my business?
Well, when you're on something like a large show, like what you were on, and it's the Food Network, you're going to get all kinds of people, and there will be those vegans watching, and there will be all kinds of people, not your choice, not your type of person. So do you almost prefer not to be on a show like that? Because it's just, you just have to be quiet. They really cut down who you are.
Well, I mean, and fortunately for me, like that show kind of came to its natural conclusion like 6 months before I ever got into any difficulty on the internet. But I will say, while I was there, that we did have a lot of conversations with people behind the scenes about like, oh, well, you know, hey, maybe you could like put less stuff on Twitter, or maybe you could not be political on Twitter, or maybe you could, you know, what kind of, like, how much stand-up are you going to continue to do? And when those questions started, I started to push back quite a bit about, you know, for the money that you guys are paying me, which wasn't great.
Okay, so that was a major show. So how much money do you get paid for a show like that?
So for a show like that, when you enter in, the money is garbage. I was getting like $4,000 an episode to host that show.
Wow.
And in the first three seasons, which was all in the first year and a half, the show was like one of the hottest new shows they had done in like 10 years. We were breaking 1 million viewers on Friday nights, and it was a very big success in terms of advertising dollars. It made way, way, way more money than I had any idea that it was making. And when I found that out, I came back to the network and was like, okay, I need producer credit and I need to make a little bit more cash. And, you know, I wasn't asking for the moon. But what was interesting is they were unwilling to like meet me halfway on that at all, and then wanted more control and say over everything else I was doing. And so my pushback was,
so that's funny, because they didn't want you to do stand-up, which is probably how you made a living, and then they're just paying $4,000.
Yeah, and $4,000 an episode, like it might sound like decent money, but it's 4 days worth of work. When you look at like what an episode takes, tons of travel, and then, you know, when you're doing a food show like that, it takes its toll on your body for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then the other thing that I watched was a TMZ video. This one like really upset me. So the guy, he works at TMZ, but he also has a podcast. I think he did this on purpose.
Did work at TMZ. He's not there anymore.
Oh, did he get fired?
Yeah, he got fired. He got fired for choking out a white employee. So that's always a good look. There's a moment in that podcast where I can tell, like, I call him out for getting visibly angry with me, which he intended to do.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, why would you just assume that I'm a violent person?" And then fast forward many, many years later, he gets fired for choking out an employee that he had a disagreement with. So I was like, "Well, I think I nailed that one right on the head."
So he was the host of Red Pill Podcast.
Yeah, Van Lathan.
Yeah, Van Lathan. What's his last name? Lathan?
Yeah, Lathan.
And he had this Red Pill podcast. He also used to work at TMZ. He got Josh to go on the show, and I think he wanted you to say the N-word.
Well, we had I talked about this on my podcast. We had a conversation before the show because the podcast was about two things. It was about my opinion on what I tweeted that was controversial. Then the second piece was, what do I think about the usage of the N-word in comedy and art and everything else, and do I think it's okay for white comics to use it? And so before we started the show, I asked him, hey, do you have any language restrictions? Because we're going to have a real conversation about this, and I'm not going to self-censor, but I'm not going to be disrespectful on your show. Like, I don't just jump on people's podcasts and start screaming the N-word, but I don't self-censor it on my show because that's my choice. I'm not going to make that choice for other people. So he goes, no, me, say what you want, and if the network decides to bleep you, we'll bleep you. But, you know, he's like, I want to have a real conversation. And then the second I started talking about jokes and using the word in my jokes, he blew up and got super offended. And it was funny because my girlfriend was sitting on the couch behind him. You can't see her, but I could see her out of my peripheral just shaking her head like, you motherfucker, like you set that up.
Yeah, he probably did, because otherwise, how would he get that podcast to be on TMZ? He had to have something like that happen.
Well, he worked at TMZ. He was like one of their sports reporters, and then he started doing that podcast. I'm the only white guest who's ever done his podcast, by the way, in the history of all of his podcasts. I think I'm the only white person that's ever done any of his shows. And the reason being was because when people get canceled for saying something racial like I did, and all I said was that they've turned straight white male into the new N-word, which has only become more true since I tweeted that in 2018, in my opinion. I didn't want to go run to conservative right-wing outlets that agreed with me and just be coddled. So I took the most confrontational person I could find who wanted to reach out and do press. And I was like, I believe in this so much. I will go into enemy territory and debate my point and stand my ground. And, it would have been anybody who goes and watches that entire podcast loves it. They think it's a great conversation. We get into it. There's good back and forth. I think we both make good points. And anybody who watched the full thing likes it. But that's not what TMZ does. TMZ literally cut out the part where I said the N-word in the podcast, where I'm telling a story about someone saying a racist joke to me and why it's necessary to use their language in the joke for the joke to work.
Yeah.
He cut me off in the middle of it and was like, there's no excuse for you to use that word.
Yeah. Do you like saying that word? Like, does it make a joke funnier to use it?
No, but it's like, comics, we test stuff out and it's necessary. And for the punchline of that joke to work, I've tried it both ways and it just doesn't work. If you say N-word, it does actually N-word. It doesn't hit the audience and the punchline doesn't work because what you're saying the person said isn't so blatantly offensive. And so, I've tried it both ways and it just doesn't work. If to censor it doesn't work because it doesn't hit as hard the way it does in real life.
Okay. So have you gotten any, backlash from Black people? Do Black people like you?
Yeah, of course, Black people. I have tons of Black fans. Yeah. Well,
and you like them?
Let's not say tons, but yeah, of course I like Black people.
Okay. All right.
I enjoy them.
You enjoy them?
Yeah, I enjoy Black people.
Okay. So you're very right-wing.
I don't know if I would say that, but sure.
Okay. I just noticed from some of the clips that I saw and everything, you tend to lean that way. So what has your experience been with that? Has it helped you? As far as the Trump supporters, when you tweet about that, do they all rally behind you? What's your experience been politically? Because I know you're very outspoken with that.
Yeah, my views are pretty diverse. I think I have some conservative beliefs, but I think I have some pretty liberal beliefs too. So I think I do a pretty good job of pissing off both sides. The problem is that when you piss off conservatives, nobody likes to call attention to that because it's what everyone on the internet is already trying to do anyway.
You think they're trying to do that, but they're not succeeding?
No, I just think it's the status quo. I think shitting on conservatives is the status quo. And so if you do that, it doesn't ripple anything. If you shit on the left, which is like the internet's protected class, that's when you cause controversy and that's when you stir things up.
It must be so such a unique experience right now, since everybody's so just thinking about politics just constantly and talking about it, and it's very high tension. Does that change your experience performing in clubs?
No. Nobody that's performatively outraged is in any comedy clubs. They don't go to shows. They don't. It's not their thing. So I use the vegan in the steakhouse analogy.
Okay. All right. So let's answer some questions from the fans. Let's bring up some people. If you'd like to call in and speak to Josh, I'm going to put my phone line open. This is really great. This is the most famous.
I'm not the most famous person you've had on your show.
No, but you're the most famous canceled comedian. That's what I've heard.
No, I'm the most canceled comedian. I wouldn't say the most famous.
Okay. The most canceled.
No, I'd say Shane Gillis is probably the most famous canceled comedian. To get fired from SNL is a way bigger deal than me not going back to work at any food networks.
Well, the thing is, there's just so many canceled comedians. It's hard to keep track of every single one. And I feel like there's not going to be any left.
Yeah. Well, you just have to not give a shit. You just have to not care and just do your own thing.
Is there anybody that's been canceled that you agree they should be canceled?
Bill Cosby?
Okay, all right. So he's the one that you agree with.
I mean, I don't know if it's canceled if you've been found guilty of like, sexual assault. I don't know if that's canceled so much as it's convicted. But yeah, I mean, I think the people that have actually done horrible things should pay the consequences for it. I think if somebody has an opinion that you don't like, you should go back to your life and mind your own fucking business. It's not for you.
Okay, I'm gonna bring on my co-host Wheezy. Wheezy, do you have a question for Josh Denny?
No, I more have a statement. I really like how you stick to your constitution and you don't give a fuck and you'll speak your mind, because that's very rare and everybody's afraid to be whipped on or put into a little pocket, and you're not afraid to do that. You even lost your job for standing up for yourself. So I really respect that. Even if people might disagree with what you're saying, I think that's a very respectable thing for sure. The only question I would really have is, what are you doing now?
I do a show on Censored TV called Next Week Tonight, which is kind of like it mocks current event news shows like Last Week Tonight and The Daily Show. I always refer to it as the internet's most savage clip show. So we make jokes over there about current event things and we sort of predict the news, but we do stuff that no other show would dare do.
Really? What do you mean? Like what?
Like we make jokes that are super mean. Like I made a joke about Usher's kids drowning in his swimming pool. I mean, that's nobody else is going to make that joke or reference on Comedy Central or TBS.
Okay, I'm going to bring up Sharman Smith. Sharman, do you have a question for Josh Denny?
Well, I was actually curious about the pay scale for the Food Network show. You said that it was $4,000 a month, and that was really, or $4,000 an episode, and that was really low. What is the normal episode fee for somebody to expect?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. So they started at $2,000 an episode, which is kind of where they start. I went out and got an attorney and was able to get it up a little bit and get some other things. But I mean, what they generally try to do with those shows on that network, and Discovery is famous for this. Like a lot of Discovery, which now owns Food Network and all of Scripps, they their CEO famously brags about the fact that they don't have to pay talent on their shows. That's why their biggest franchise is 90 Day Fiance. They don't pay those people anything to do those shows.
Wow, really?
And they love unhosted reality, which is stuff where somebody is just like doing voiceover over it. So for that network, like the pay is notoriously low in all of that sort of reality hosted stuff. But when you get into the level of being sort of an established star and doing the kind of numbers we did, like there were weeks where we beat Guy Fieri in the ratings on Triple D, which is like their staple show. And we were the lead in for that show. But for people to watch our show and then stop watching Triple D right after it is insane to me. And because the audiences are definitely the same. That means there were people that liked me that don't like Guy. So when you get into that level, those guys start making anywhere from 10 to 20,000 an episode. And then, companies like, or people like Guy Fieri and Bobby Flay, they have their own production company. So they're actually billing the network for the entire cost of the episode, the entire budget. And then who knows what fee they're taking inside of that. So they could, it could be anywhere from, like, if they're billing the network $150,000 or $200,000 an episode, they can pay themselves essentially whatever's left over after they pay, their cameramen and their directors and all those people.
So is any part of you like scared? This happened. It's so public what happened. Are you afraid like you won't be able to get another shot at something like this?
No. I mean, first of all, I would never want to go back. I would never want to go work for a network that is going to censor anything that I do or try to tell me what I can and can't do as a comedian. It's just, it doesn't work. And I also don't think it's a very long problem for us to have. I see things sort of where they were in the mid 70s, early 80s, where I feel like comedy and the general public, it's about to make this huge pendulum swing the other way, where entertainment and everything is about to be very punk rock. And there's going to be networks like the one that I'm a part of, Censor TV, who make stuff that's really edgy and really funny, that is going to fill the void that exists right now because nobody's making that content on a larger scale.
So where is Censor TV? How can people find that?
That's the website, censor.tv.
Censor.tv.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's like 30 something shows over there. So there's a lot of content for people to watch. It's $10 a month. They get my show. I'm now doing a sports podcast over there, I believe. And then they get my buddy Gavin McInnes' show, Get Off My Lawn. That's like the staple show on the network. So there's a lot of cool stuff. There's actually Maddie over there is actually doing a food type show now. So it's mostly podcasts and streaming, but we're starting to see more and more stuff on the network that's like branching out from that and actually creating funny content.
Okay, so if somebody wants to watch you, should they go there?
Yeah, certainly. So all of season 1 of my show next week tonight is on there. And then if anybody wants to watch like my podcast and stuff, you can just go to my website, joshdennycomedy.com. And then I also, I don't use Patreon, but I use Locals, which is like Patreon. And all my bonus content and everything is over there.
Okay, beautiful. I want to get somebody else's opinion on this because this is a very interesting topic to me that I've been thinking about a lot. I'm going to go to Joe Abu Soccer, and he's another comedian. And Joe, have you ever experienced anything like this? Anything that Josh Denny has experienced?
No, I've never. Yeah, no, I've never been canceled for saying the N-word on stage.
No. And what do you think about that? Would you use a joke with the N-word, like not saying N-word? You know what I'm saying, right? Like saying the actual word. Would you do that on stage? What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I just love that now there's clearly a screenshot that I can take from my computer that's just my face with "Do you like the N-word?" Call 917. Insanity. All right, well, let's just go into that. No, I don't. It's, people can say whatever they want. No one, like, I don't understand. It's not, you're not getting canceled for anything. No, there's no such thing as being canceled. I don't understand why people are so obsessed. These are internet comments. Like, it's whatever. He might have gotten fired. I don't know, Josh, by the way. Hi, Josh. How you doing? He might have gotten fired for something, but like that was a corporate gig, like if he's doing a show and they have like rules, which sounds like you're like, I don't want to do those rules because it affects my stand-up business. So yeah, I make that choice. But this whole obsession with like people being canceled or not being canceled, it's not real. It's just, it's show business, it's business. There's people buying your stuff, and if people don't want to buy it, they don't. And if people do, and then there are crazy people that try to be like, we're the ones that are canceling. But those are back in remember the early days of YouTube when shit was just like YouTube comments that like anything you posted online, you'd have 8 billion comments that were insanity. You just ignore that. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the concern that I have is like we live in a society now where like what you do on the internet or what you do, that like the context of it doesn't matter. So the only job I ever got fired from, you mentioned, was a corporate gig that I went back and started working a year after the whole Twitter uproar about the N-word in 2018. I went and I don't know how many people know this, but before I was a comedian, I was director of operations for a lot of different retail companies. Which is like the level right below C-level. So you have CEOs and CFOs, and then below that you have directors. Mm-hmm. So I got hired to go work for a company called Travis Matthew, which is like a golf apparel company, and a buddy of mine was working there and got me the interview, and they ended up liking me and hiring me. We talked about stand-up. We talked about my TV show, my career, and everything I had done leading up to that point. A week after, or probably like a month and a half after I went through the whole interview process, I started. On the second day, I was brought into HR and fired from that job, not because of anything that happened in the workplace, just because a girl that worked for the company, not even in my department, remembered me from that Twitter controversy a year ago, said she wasn't comfortable being in the same building as somebody who was accused of being a racist on the internet. And I was fired without any investigation or any diving into like the reality of who I am as a person. So when people say, well, cancel culture is only on the internet, it's really not, like, because there are real world effects that happen to people. And it's like, it's easy to be somebody who's a multimillionaire comedian or even making a living already doing stand-up or whatever. But if you're in a position where you're in that odd transition period, like, you're famous enough because you had a TV show, but you didn't make any money from it. So now you still have to have a day job while you work your way through and build your own fan base. You can't do that anymore if you have any sort of, outside the lines perspective on your art. And what's weird is comedy is this thing where nobody's clamoring for Ed Norton to be kicked out of his Mahjong group because he said the N-word in American History X. There's like this, we give this credence to actors where we go, well, that's a thing that they're doing for their art, right? That's not who they are as a person. But with comedians, for some reason, there's this inability to separate the art from the artist when it comes to the things they talk about on stage.
Well, I mean, I could see why that would be, because someone like else wrote that script.
Yeah, but they're still portraying a piece of work. Like they're still doing a piece of work. Like what would it made a difference if he wrote the script himself?
So, I mean, I don't like the N-word at all. I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't like it. I don't like the way it sounds. But I could see why there's a little bit of a difference with a movie. I don't like it in movies. I don't like violence in movies.
Yeah.
I don't like any of that. So
you sound fun.
I don't like violence. If violence is fun for you, I'm not fun.
It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to participate in. It's fake. It's just like horror movies or whatever. It's all fake. It's enjoyable, but it's when you reduce it to like, if violence is fun for you, I think that's kind of reductive to somebody's capacity to differentiate what is comedic violence and what's actual violence. I don't enjoy actual violence, but movies like Tarantino movies aren't real violence. I'm intelligent enough to differentiate the two.
Okay, but so you're saying that a script, somebody reading a script with a word is different than a comedian saying the word on stage?
I'm saying it's not.
Oh, you're saying it's not different
Yeah.
at all. Okay. All right. Well, you have your own thoughts on it. I wonder what Joe thinks about this. Joe, are you in the same boat as Josh here?
No, it's different. I mean, come on, man. Like that's totally different. And by the way, I'm a comic too, so like I'm fully for you being able to say whatever you want on stage. But you gotta just like take if you're saying the N-word on stage, you have to know that most people are gonna have a negative reaction to that. So, at the end of the day, it's our job to make people laugh, and it's like at the end of the day, it's like, who's my audience? If your audience are people that like don't care about that, then fuck it. In this day and age, it's like it's better to have 10,000 dedicated fans than 100,000 whatever fans. But
yeah, I agree.
But with that, you're gonna have to take it whenever people are like, all right, this guy has a hard on for saying the N-word on stage. His fans are mostly right-wing people. I'm not saying
so
that's
they like
the
N-word, don't
yeah,
they?
but that's not true.
Well,
But
so right-wingers say the N-word more, I would say.
Well, I don't know about
Right?
that. I'm just saying, like, I'm saying if you're putting yourself out there, we're all like our own PR person. We're all public. You have to PR and advertising. You have to go with what's being perceived, So if you are like, man, I love saying this joke that has the N-word in it, where I just go hard R on it. And it's like, that's my choice. That's my artistic choice. And that's totally true. It shouldn't be illegal.
Did either of you see the joke, by the way?
Do you want to just do the joke?
No, I'm not going to do the joke on the show.
Oh.
I'm just asking, did either of you in your research see it? It's up on the
No,
internet.
I had no idea what we were talking about.
I read it. I read the joke, and nothing's funny when you read it, actually.
Right.
So do you want
It's
to
also
say
not
it?
funny when you try to summarize it on a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it might be great. It's like, I have no problem with you doing the joke. Just putting that out there.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just
what's
saying,
interesting? No, it's
there's
just interesting
there's
to
a
me
response.
because. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's just, I'm just saying, like, it's like whenever you do shit like that, because I have like, all right, so I have like a pretty intense abortion joke that I know gets like super negative feedback when I'm in the South or whatever. If I'm in the wrong crowd, sometimes that just gets like, it bombs. But it's for my, like, I like it, and most of the people that I perform it for like it, and I just got to take the fact that there's going to be people that hate it and probably hate me and probably call me a baby killer because I'm okay with abortion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a real big problem with people believing that their role as a comedian is to tell people what to think. And for me, I like to focus more on addressing how people think. And so the joke where I use the N-word, I'm actually telling a story about my father talking about my girlfriend who's Iranian, and he uses that word to describe her and uses a racial slur or something. And then basically the premise of the punchline is that I'm not any better. I just have a more updated racist point of view than he does. And so that bit to me is personal and important because I think it's something that people can relate to. If you date interracially, which a lot of fucking people don't, so that they don't have any perspective about this. But when you date, those are real cultural things that you encounter, that you deal with, and that you interact with if you have older parents. And so people who I hate when people go, well, people on the right love it. No, people that can relate to that shared lived experience love it, regardless of their political affiliation, because they know what it's like to deal with that sort of thing. People who have no perspective are the ones who get up in arms and they get obsessed over the language. But if you're a white person who dates people that are a different race than you, and you have old parents and maybe you've dealt with some of those things, you're going to be able to relate to that because that's a real shared lived experience. So I don't know. I think you have to be very, very careful about saying, like that's a conservative experience or that's a liberal experience. Like everyone in the crowd in that joke, by the way, when I did that joke, were Middle Eastern, and I did it because I knew many of them could.
Wait, how is everybody in the crowd Middle Eastern?
At the show, I'm talking about in the show that the clip on YouTube is at.
Oh.
So I actually, one of the people in that audience, it's a small show, but one of the people in that audience asked me to do that bit. It was on my 2012 album. I think the video is from like 2014. But one of the people asked me to do that bit because it was my girlfriend's friend. It was his birthday party. So there were like 30 Persian people out hanging out together. And all different, by the way, all different political affiliations, all different religions. And so at the end of the day, it's like, they all have different points of view, but it's a relatable experience for all those people.
Charmin, any thoughts?
I mean, freedom of speech is free. You can say whatever you want, but you also get the consequences when you tick people off. That's the way it is. N-word's tough. People are very upset about it. They've been upset about it for a long time. It's an important conversation. I'm glad we're having it. Race is a real problem in our country, and we don't know how to have this conversation. There's, like you said, there's older people that are very set in their ways. Times have changed and they needed to change a long time ago. And if we can find a way to have this conversation in a healthy way that moves people forward, I support it, but people are going to be upset about it in the process. You kind of have to deal with the discomfort of saying something wrong and then having those conversations with people if we're going to move it forward in any way. So it's a tough conversation. I don't like the N-word. I don't use it. I can certainly see how it's different to have it written in a script and then have a comedian write it themselves. There's a lot of jokes that are getting attention right now because people just don't think they're funny. People don't think rape jokes are funny. You can't tell an abortion joke to people who don't like abortion, right? There are consequences for your opinion, and that's what makes America great.
Yes, I'm sure when they wrote the First Amendment, they thought what would be great is if we could get to a point where the state has everyone's so afraid to express their First Amendment right that it's exactly the same as if we didn't have one.
I'm not quite sure that's what they had in mind, but I do think they wanted people to be able to speak out. They wanted press to have the ability to speak out and tell the truth, right? Your First Amendment protects you for speaking the truth. It doesn't protect your lies, right? Someone can't go around accusing Elise of being involved in sex trafficking without there being consequences.
Right. That's why we have like libel and defamation laws and stuff.
But they're very difficult, right? A defamation lawsuit's one of the most difficult lawsuits to actually complete or to win. The First Amendment, the freedom of speech is very complicated, and consequences and upsetting people for saying something that's part of our freedom.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with people being upset with what I say. I just have a problem when they try to say that I'm saying something I'm not saying.
Well,
yeah, I mean, when I looked up like Josh Denny, like N-word joke, because I wanted to read it to everybody so they knew what we were talking about, like 20 things came up. So I don't even know what joke we're talking about anymore.
Wait, are we talking about tweets? Or are we talking about the one that I'm talking about the one that I actually did on my album, and there's a video clip of.
So how many N-word jokes do you have currently?
None currently.
But in your past?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, are we counting tweets?
I'll let you do the math on that. Just Kermit and Friends.
Yes, this is Kermit from Texas.
Thank you for calling in.
I was wanting to give my take in regards to the N-word use.
Okay, perfect.
My take on it is basically you have to watch how the term is actually used.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because some people may use it for just a hanging, slang terminology around their type of people. But if someone,
what about you? Wait, is your name Ken?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for calling in. Ken is one of the stars of the Wendy Pack podcast, and Ken is saying something. I think you're right on. The only thing that I'm saying is when you think of comedy, I want to have joy, right? When I go to a comedy show, I want to experience joy and feel joy and be taken out of my hard work week. Any problems that I'm having. When I go to a comedy show or I experience comedy, I kind of want it to be light and it's fine to talk about hard topics, but do we have to bring up a word that is so, it's a bad word. We have to admit that. It's a bad word. It has a negative connotation to it. It's against Black people. And now we're using it in comedy. A white guy with red hair is using it in comedy multiple times. I cannot even find his joke because he has so many jokes with the N-word in it. Is that okay? Ken?
Like I've said, it depends really on how the term is actually used.
Okay. All right, Ken. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Said by someone to someone inside of their circle, then I would figure the term would be okay. But if someone outside of their circle comes up to them and says that particular term, those type of people may find that term offensive.
Okay, so maybe Josh is in a big gang or group of people and they all use the N-word and that's fine? Is that what you're saying?
But if someone else outside of that particular circle comes up to him and says it, that type of people may find that term offensive.
Okay, very good. I agree with you. You're wonderful, Ken. Much love to you. Call in anytime, okay?
And don't forget, I will be the musical guest on the wrap-up show later on.
Oh, musical guest on the wrap-up show. Wonderful. The wrap-up show with Wheezy?
Yes, the wrap-up show with Wheezy.
That's the big show, That's the big show. That's the main wrap-up show.
And, of course, the very beautiful Miss Sharman.
Of course, the beautiful Sharman, the speaker and presidential hopeful in the next election, Sharman. You will be on with her. What a blessing to have you on there. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you.
Ken. Okay, what a wonderful guy. All right. So that was Ken. I think he's on your side, oddly. But okay, so in the future, Josh, are you planning on pushing the button more? Because I feel like you're a button pusher at this point. You're just saying things. Do you consider yourself like an internet troll?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't direct anything that I do at people. So
okay.
I'll make jokes or I'll make statements, but I'm never in people's comments, trying to get a reaction out of them.
Okay, so you're a nice guy. Beautiful.
I think so, yeah. I believe good comics can make anything funny.
Okay. All right, so let's bring on one of your own, CEO T-Bob.
What's going on, guys? First of all, Alicia Jordan ain't into no daggum pedophilia crap. Y'all the dumbest people on earth for sucker for that crap. I'm not the one that came up with it, but I did run with it for a little while. I can't believe people believe that shit. They're so gullible.
I just want to say something. Hold on. Excuse me, Bob. Stephen Bullich and everybody that's asking the number to call in, it's literally right there. Right there. See, it's down there. It's going across the screen. So please call in if you have a thought. Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I overslept, guys. So it took me a while to catch up into what even y'all were even talking about.
So we're talking about so Josh has a very interesting story, in my opinion, right? This is a big topic and everybody's talking about this. He was on a huge show on the Food Network They canceled all his programs, even the repeat programs, because of what he said on Twitter. He's very vocal on Twitter. In fact, why aren't you on that other site? What is that other site called? Where it's Trump's Twitter. What is that called? Not Grindr. What's the other one? What is it, Josh?
Which one are you talking about? Truth. Well, Trump's company is Truth Social, which I think
is that the
hardly
Twitter?
launched yet.
Is that the Twitter for the exiled? Is that it?
No, I don't. I mean, there's a lot of them that are claiming to be the Twitter for the exiled, like Gab and Getter, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Okay. So how come you haven't moved to that? Because Trump's on that. He hasn't gotten kicked off yet.
I haven't been kicked off Twitter either, but I have a profile. I have a profile on Getter, but Getter's more of a pain in the ass because everybody on the right is like super pro clutching conservative. So I don't find my audience there, believe it or not.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Okay. So CEO T-Bob, do you have any thoughts on this? Like, these alternative platforms, Joe Rogan had to go on an alternative platform. Donald Trump had to go on an alternative platform. Josh Denny's still on Twitter, but we know what's coming. So what do you think about that, Bob? Should Josh hold back how he feels? Just to fit into these social platforms and these places that they put a silence on you, they cancel you. What do you think about that, Bob?
Well, this ain't gonna be a popular opinion, but if you use the N-word, then the chances are you got raped by a bunch of black guys and you like it.
How's it rape if you like it? What makes it sounds like you had sex with a bunch of black guys.
That's a good question, but I tell you, there's a guy named Fireman John who claimed that his uncle used to take advantage of him every day when he was a young boy, but apparently he liked it.
Okay.
I don't know people like that. Okay, let me just take this caller. Kermit and Friends, how can I help you?
Hey, it's Steve Bullis. You remember me from way back?
Of course I do. How can I forget you? Thanks for calling in.
Oh, whatever. Hey, so I was listening to the topic of conversation about saying certain bad words or whatnot, right? My question is it acceptable when they do it in music? When it's convenient for the musicians. What's your thoughts? Like when musicians can do it and they let other white musicians do it and say the N-word, we'll say, on select individuals, but when somebody else does it, that's not either in the music industry or it's somebody they don't like in the music industry, they use it to their advantage to basically call them out. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, that's such an interesting question. Thank you, Steven.
Yeah.
All right. I love that guy. Okay. So like when rappers use it, is that okay? I don't know, you guys. I'm like kind of more of like a Muppet type, I'm not really the N-word type. I like Muppets. I like, I just watched Alice in Wonderland the other day. That's the type I am. Like, I'm not the type to be like screaming the N-word or rapping it. So, I mean, that's just the opposite of me. But Josh, obviously you say the N-word, so you're cool with rap saying it. Listen, everybody's different. That's what's beautiful about the world. Josh has his thing. Everybody has their own thing. So, Stephen, I thought that was a good question. And
John Lennon used the word famously in a song, and John was not talking about black people at all in his usage of the word in the song. He's using the word to make a bigger point, which I think it's reductive to believe that white people can't use the word to make larger points.
So wait, which song was that? Because I'm a Lennon fan.
The name of the I'm not going to say it, but
the name of the song was the N-word? I'm not a huge Beatles song.
It says woman is and then the N-word of the world. You don't know that John Lennon song?
I guess I missed that one. Maybe
right.
I missed it on purpose. But okay, so all right, but see, I don't think everybody's all like good and all right and all bad. That's what I don't like. It's like, there's certain people that just agree with everything Democrats say or everything Republicans say or everything John Lennon says. It's just a bunch of sheep.
Those people are tribalists.
If you think that everything John Lennon did is great, that's weird to me. Or anything I do is everything I do a lot of great things. It's true. But if you think everything I say is right or everything I do is right, every show I have is great, I know that's not true. I make mistakes all the time. Everybody does. So you can't listen to everything Josh Denny says and says, oh, he's my God. No,
I don't want to be anybody's God.
I mean, I do want to be people's God, definitely. But I'm just saying that I make mistakes. Everybody does. So Josh Denny, even if he's saying something right now, or I'm saying something right now, or Steve Volich saying something right now, or Sharman saying something right now, our whole point of life is to grow and change, right? So in 5 years, you might be talking to me and I say, oh, I love the N-word. I mean, it's very doubtful. But, people can change, they grow. That's the point of life, is changing and growing, okay? So I accept, I am like Jesus in a way, and I accept people for who they are and let them speak their mind. And if I don't agree with it, whatever, who cares? It might change anyway. I might change, that person might change, and that's just how I feel about it. So, okay.
Yeah, I don't begrudge anybody that thinks differently than I do either. It's your worldview is shaped by your life experiences. It should be with everybody, but that's why I think listening to people is important, rather than just making reductive assumptions based on people's race or whatever. Like when people go, you have to know that people of color are not going to like those jokes. It's like a lot of them do. You just have to talk to people and find out who likes what and why. And the more you do that, I think the more you can tap in artistically to what people like and what they want.
Yeah. And if you don't like a joke, obviously don't follow that comedian. I mean, that should be the obvious rule. And we're all different here. That is the truth. And it's just interesting that how much fighting there's been. I mean, recently I noticed it more than ever. If somebody views something differently, and I just don't think that should be the case. I don't know. Christine, do you still think I'm a sex trafficker? What do you think?
Well, I never did think that. I just asking the question for you to deny it doesn't mean that I thought you were a sex trafficker. The person said that there was a phone call between you and that person, and and I have to believe. I think that you are trying to be like Jesus more than most people I know, and I have to believe that if that conversation happened, I don't know if it did or not, but if that conversation if that conversation did happen, it probably happened for a good reason. Like maybe you were trying to, vet him out to see if he was a creep. And
that conversation. Look. Here's the deal. Rob DeHaven came up with an idea that his logic is heavily flawed here. I get it, but his ideology is that there are a lot of there's a lot of gay people around Kermit and Friends. So therefore, you know how gay people are. I mean, hey, they must be perverts. So she must be involved in child trafficking, since California is the #1 hub for exporting abducted children out of the United States. I would vie that New York might be #1. It's toss up from one year to the next. So if we know the routes, if we know what's going on in America, that we're a candy factory, yeah, it does happen on a very prevalent basis. It's like every time you get a Democrat.
All right, Bob, stop dilly-dallying. Bob, stop dilly-dallying. Just tell Christine and the audience what you said that I did, and then we'll clear this up.
Okay. So one day, Elisa asked me, she says, Bob, I can get you any child that you want. I said, what do you mean? She says, any underage girl that you want. Whatever you want them to look like, I can get them. Do you want them? What do you want? You want one that looks like me? You want one that looks like, I forgot what you said, somebody. And I said,
never said that,
no,
Bob.
That's gross. It's disgusting. I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. It went kind of along those lines.
Bob, I never said that.
Well, if you never said it, somebody had your phone number and they did some damn good spoofing on you with some voice changing app.
Bob, I never call you. That's fucked up, Bob. That's fucked up.
You called me. I didn't say you called me, but I don't believe you, because I tell you, first of all, let's say you did do that for a minute. #1, it's way the fuck out of character for Elisa. And no, she ain't called me in months. So we don't really ever talk behind scenes. I mean, I find that odd as fuck. But anyway, it just is. But
Bob, wait.
So
You're
here's the
saying,
thing.
excuse me. You're saying that I called you and offered you children? That's what you're saying right now, Bob?
Yeah, you wanted to know what kind of child I wanted for sex.
You heard me say that.
Yeah, you asked me that on the phone. I don't want to argue about whether or not you asked.
Bob, that did not happen ever. That did not happen. Not even one time. Not even a little bit. That did not happen. It's a lie. You're lying right now, Bob. Lying.
I'm not lying.
Bob, that's not the truth. I never call you, first of all. I never pick up the phone and dial your number. And then the other part is I would never do that. So why would you say that and confuse people?
I can only tell you what I know. I didn't say you called me. I just said in our phone conversation, that's what was mentioned. And I didn't believe it anyway because it's out of your character. So I think you were trying to fill me out to see if I was a pedophile or not at the time.
Okay, I never said anything like that to you at all. And I didn't call. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, Bob.
But yeah, the person did call me.
But I'm not answering any phone calls if it's not Kermit and Friends time. So right now, I'll answer a phone call. But outside of that, like, I don't answer any calls anymore, okay? Because they get misconstrued. And now look at Christine here. And look how upset she is.
Well, if it wasn't you, it was somebody with an app makeover. And so, I mean, that happens. There are people that pull that on people. And we do have people with Kermit and Friends that are very good at it.
Oh my God, this is not good. Okay, so let's talk to Joe. Joe, so I read that when you were growing up, you opened up about being morbidly obese. Is that true?
No, I don't know where'd you get that?
Where'd I get that? Okay. My producer sent me some notes on you. Did you grow up in a small town in Tennessee? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Where you raised sheep and chickens.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was cool. Crazy transition from child trafficking, but
I'm just trying to lighten the mood because I just don't like this, outside. Do you have a podcast, Joe?
Yeah, the Hometown Heroes podcast.
Okay, because, when you have a podcast, people are calling you outside of the podcast and they're talking to you and they're coming up with all these crazy things about you and they're just lying. And I never called that guy. I never said that. And it's just a lie. And, it's just hearsay. And people are this woman, Christine. I think she's a nice woman. She's a Jesus loving woman. I mean, she thinks I should go to hell, but she's a Jesus loving woman. And she is saying that, she believes all this. It is so bad. It is so bad. Okay, it says on your bio that you were obese as a child. Why does it say that? Why does it say that?
Oh, yeah, I was a fat kid. It was a joke. I thought, but whenever you were morbidly obese, so it was like,
okay.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so not morbidly obese, but a little obese?
Yeah, I was a fat kid, yeah. I lost weight, yeah.
Oh, okay. You had that in your bio. If that's something you want to avoid.
Sorry.
Maybe you shouldn't put it in your bio, but it's okay. I have a lot of stupid bios out there. At least you didn't have the N-word in there. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were obese. So why do you think? You think you were stressed out as a kid?
No, I think I just ate a lot of food. It just happens. Wow, this is wild. This is just I had no idea what the show was going to be. This is no, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't watch before, but this is just all over the place. I love it. Great job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just hopping. Let's go inward to child trafficking to, hey, Joe, how you doing?
Well, it's a variety show. So.
It is. Yeah. There's 32 flavors on the show for sure.
Well, you seem like a nice guy. I like you. I know we're a little much, but so we have a reoccurring cast of characters, and our COO is this guy named T-Bob. And, I'm not really like a
T-Bob, the guy that was just on?
Yeah, the guy that accused
That's your COO?
Yeah, so when I met him on the Drunken Peasants podcast. I don't know if you know them, but they're really cool. And I went on their podcast, and they were setting me up with 3 guys, on a date, right? And one of the guys was that guy T-Bob. And I just saw a star. When I saw him, I was like, this guy's a star. The Howard Stern show wishes they had a guy like this. He reminds me of the best whack packer of all time. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but he's just tremendous. And I was just, my mind was blown by him. And I said, I want you part of Kermit and Friends. You could be the COO. But it kind of went downhill from there because it started off so good and he was nice to me. But I'll show you the other day what he did, and you give me your opinion. I'm going to show you something just really quickly. Hold on.
At least Jordana thinks that a decent guy would be interested in her after having sex with that motherfucker. Bitch, I don't want to be associated with you ever again knowing that. She's had a dirty dick up her cunt. She sucked on a dirty dick. And he took his dick out of some other guy and stuck it up her fucking ass. What part of that makes another man want to have sex with Elisa Jordana? Yeah, I couldn't think of nothing either.
Is he just discovering
That is
threesomes?
the ultimate of fucking gross. Elisa Jordana, don't you ever fucking contact me again. You are the nastiest, filthiest fucking woman that I have ever fucking met. I could care less to have anything to do with you. And that's all I went live stream to tell you. Don't you ever fucking talk to me again. Don't contact me. Don't call me. I don't even want to know you fucking exist, you filthy, nasty tramp.
Chumster Bob, I used to trust you. No longer. You're out, Chumster Bob. You ruined everything. You're not COO anymore. Bob, boy, are you acting out, acting out? I feel like Bob is not around, not around. All he does is just let me down, let me down. Bob, I gave you everything, yeah, I gave you everything. Bob, why are you acting out, acting out? I feel like Bob just lets me down, lets me down. And whenever I start the show, I don't have a COO. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're doxing my family and friends, yeah. On the Kermit and Friends show. You're thinking that I like it on the low. Well, there's something that you gotta really know. I think that I'm better now that Donald Trump's not around, not around. All he did was just let me down, let me down. Baba gave you everything, Baba gave you everything. Whoa, whoa. Bob, you're really upsetting people.
All right. I'm not going to be nice anymore. Look, we did have that conversation. You did call me. You did ask me that question.
No, I didn't, Bob. I didn't. And I really don't appreciate you.
All you want, but I don't believe you meant it. I put that out there on the shelf. I think you were just filling me out because at the time everybody was calling me some kind of pedophile freaky dude. And you're a person that's just like Christine. If you hear something, you think there might be an error of truth to it. Obviously, I'm not a pedophile. I don't like that shit. I don't even try to get with women under age 36, for that matter. And I have never liked young. I mean, you know, when you're 17, you can have a crush on them.
But Bob, you're just making up something that didn't happen. You went after me because you found out I hooked up with Gonzo. Why did you do that?
Oh, don't remind me of that because see, when I think you having sex with Gonzo, how many people seen Gonzo? That ugly fat mother effer. Let me tell you. When I think of you and Gonzo together, all I can think of is a doctor having to pop blisters up your coochie.
Bob, you know what? How would you feel if I went after the people that you used to date? I'm sure you didn't date anybody better than Gonzo. That's for sure.
Only one ugly person have I ever dated, and that's the fat girl I ended up marrying, and all she did was eat and get fatter and fatter and fatter, which is why I left her ass. And, you can only help people so much to try to lose weight, try to be healthy. But she had some kind of bad eating disorder. She would hide food and sneak it to work and eat little Hostess ding-dongs and shit.
All right, Bob, I'm going to stop you right there. Do you know that you're making people cry this week? People are crying because of you.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to be any other way. I mean, if you want to deny it, that's fine. I can accept that too because I do know that people like certain people that we know in the group are using the app.
It's so sad. Like Bob could be any one of us, and we all have a little Bob in us. None of us are perfect. We're all human beings. We got to do something. This is really bad. I've never felt so powerless to help somebody, but like they're in my life. I'm supposed to help them to some degree, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have crossed paths. Everything happens for a reason. It's divine. I know it. But this colorful cast of characters and Kermit and Friends, it's wonderful. But where does the personal responsibility start? I know the guy's got to take the first step. We all have to do our own thing and take responsibility for our own actions. But it's what role do we play to help somebody when you feel powerless? It's just the scariest, weirdest feeling in the world. It's just striking me and hitting me really hard. I don't know what to do. I feel horrible.
Bob, you're making people cry. Do you feel good about that? You must feel very bad about that because this guy, Matt, he's a really nice guy. He's crying because of you. Do you take any, responsibility for upsetting people like that?
A grown man crying. I can't even. The only tears that ever popped out of my eyes are when I'm laughing. I'm sorry. I don't understand people crying like that.
You made him cry. The things that you're doing, you accusing me of sex trafficking and being mean to Gonzo and just not respecting people. It's really bad, right, Wheezy? Shouldn't Bob be better?
He's lost his fucking mind. He's lost his mind. He's been horrible for the last couple of weeks, saying all this stuff like that. And then yesterday he was very nice and very great, and I was wondering why. But now he's doubling down on the fact that you called him, which nobody believes at all because he would have recorded it.
Yeah.
If you called him, he would have recorded it.
That's a lie. See, this dickhead always comes in and puts words into people's mouths. I don't record phone conversations. Generally speaking, I don't.
Jesus Christ, Bob. You just have to go to your YouTube to realize that you're lying about that.
You're lying about a lot of things, Bob.
No,
He's gone to jail for recording phone conversations with the cops.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
Well, shit, I've seen the
No, I haven't. It is not illegal to record
Bob,
phone
you're lying.
conversations.
You're lying about this and you're lying about everything.
That's been established in court. I've never been arrested for that bullshit. So you're full of shit, Weezy.
You know what, Bob? You've shown
You know
us
what? You can
you on
fuck
the
up,
phone.
you faggot ass little cocksucking bitch. Let me tell you something. You
I
jump
just
in every
exposed you.
fucking morning and take up for people coming after me for no fucking reason.
She just
like
exposed
Harry
you, Bob.
Goatback faggot ass Brogan, who everybody knows has got a blowed out butthole.
All right. Let's just talk about something more positive right now. Charmin, you spoke at a women's conference.
Yes.
What happened there?
I did. Well, there was some drama. The booking system that they used, that people couldn't get into it.
Oh no.
What? But it was still awesome. I'm still
I
super
have it
happy. I'm
here.
waiting. Oh, do you have it?
Oh, I have the ad for it. So Charmin,
You have the ad for it, but I'm
Yeah.
going to be getting a clip with the video from when I spoke and everything I said. As soon as I get it, I'll send it to you, and
Oh,
then I'll
good.
post it in Discord, and everybody can see it.
Okay, terrific. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have
I did speak about Kermit and Friends.
You did?
And I did speak about that guy that we're all kind of dealing with today. So it would have
Bob?
been perfect if I'd have had the video clip to share with you so everybody could heard it. But whatever.
Okay, we're gonna get that video. But for now, I have the video of the event that Charmin spoke at. It's called Lady Politico. Okay, this is very positive. This is a positive thing. It's the opposite of everything else. Okay. Did you happen to drop the N-word during your speech?
No, I
Okay.
don't use that word. I don't like that word.
Okay. So here it is. terrific is that, Johnny B? Our Charmin from Kermit and Friends, who ran for president in the last election, spoke in front of all these people, and we're so blessed to have her here. Johnny, are you going to be on the wrap-up show with Wheezy and Charmin?
I might be. Last week I kind of had some business stuff going on. Didn't get to make it in there in time, but I'm going to try to catch up with them this week. I just had a comment about a couple of things here. The N-word, really no excuse to use it at all, especially when it becomes hateful type stuff. But an example, if you ever watched Eddie Murphy's Delirious, if a white man tried to do the same jokes, it would go, it wouldn't be the same. So that word should never have been invented. And T-Bob to me is a racist redneck that just and has the thing about saying everybody's got blown out buttholes and all this stuff. I think he really just likes looking at his butt. But
all right. So we're going to deal with the problems at hand with T-Bob and everybody else on the wrap-up show. We're going to discuss the new people, like this guy Joe, who's awesome. Joe, any chance that you would tune in for the wrap-up show or even be on it? What do you think?
Is the wrap-up show right after this?
Yes.
I got a little bit longer I can hang out.
Yeah. All right, cool, because there's something very fun that happens after this show, right? So after this show, Wheezy, who's my co-host, he hosts this other great show that dissects everything that goes on here. So all our conversations, the N-word, cancel culture, T-Bob, everybody you saw here. I know it's a lot. It's a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you want to? It's too much, even. I think it's too much. So a way to say what the hell was that is to tune into the wrap-up show, and they'll explain it to you. And the way to get to the wrap-up show is to join the Kermit and Friends Discord server. Are you on Discord?
No.
No? Well, you should be, because you're going to make a lot of fans there. If people want to follow you and your comedy, where do they go?
At Here with Joe Carl. Find me on Instagram, TikTok, everything. Please. We talk about like canceled, like it's not real, but you know what is real is followers. It matters. Please.
Yes, it does.
I don't care if you never look at anything that I do ever. Follow at Here with Joe Carl. I'm writing it in the chat right now.
And I agree with you on that. And I'll tell you why. So I went on a show. Well, first of all, I went on Drunken Peasants, and that's how I met T-Bob. And he's produced so much content for the show. Even if I met one person from that podcast, it was so worth it. I went on the Heather McDonald show. I met this girl, Erica, who has done so much for Kermit and Friends. Even if you meet one person, they can really contribute. And it's just amazing. And most of the people here are from the Howard Stern show, which is where I started. And it's just such a blessing to have people in my life from that time. And I appreciate everyone. And I want the same for you, Joe. Obviously, you're a comedian. You're building your following like we all are. So everybody reach out to Joe and make sure he is part of the Kermitarian universe and gets fans from here. And he joins the Discord server. And he's on the wrap-up show. And I mean, there's so many things we could do with this guy. He's amazing. Josh, Denny, any thoughts on the show today? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was fun. I was laughing hysterically during that Politico video because there were so many speakers. I was like, how long is this? Is it 48 minutes long?
Yeah,
real good promo when it's long.
That's so Charmin ran for president. She did. And she's going to run again. So we're encouraging all her conferences and her tours and everything. She's on a lot of podcasts, and she does it all. So that's Charmin for you. But she's going to be on the wrap-up show. Any chance, Josh, you could make friends there too?
Yeah, I'm not on Discord, but I'll hang out.
All right. Okay. So everybody reach out to Josh Denny. Obviously, he's terrific. He's a great guy. Okay, he's a great guy. Everybody that's on Kermit and Friends is awesome. I'm so blessed to know all of you. Obviously, Wheezy and Charmin, all our regular people, Bob, Christine, John Bolton, everybody here. Thank you so much for contributing. Truly a blessing to be able to host this show and introduce so many of you here to become friends. People have gotten married because of the show. People have gotten divorced because of the show. It's all happened. It'll happen again and again. Please enjoy our musical guest, Wappy Flanker.
South will turn you out. Sun's up, the demons know me. What's up? The demons know me. Speaking tongues. I've been dancing in the streets all day long, casting spells. The demons know me.